Have you ever said, "I don't have time"? Be honest. You've said it. I've said it. Everyone says it. But here's the uncomfortable truth: you don't actually have a time problem. You have a control problem. Time is the only thing in life that treats everyone equally. The billionaire and the broke student both wake up with 24 hours. The successful entrepreneur and the person who feels stuck get the same ticking clock. So why does it feel like some people control their time while others are constantly chasing it? Because time doesn't slow down. It doesn't wait. It doesn't negotiate. If you don't decide what your hours mean, someone else will decide for you. Your phone will decide. Your job will decide. Other people's emergencies will decide. Random notifications, endless scrolling, unplanned conversations, unexpected tasks, they will all quietly claim pieces of your life. And slowly, without you even realizing it, your days get filled with things you never consciously chose. The scary part is this: you don't waste time in big dramatic ways. You waste it in small, quiet moments. 5 minutes scrolling. 10 minutes overthinking. 20 minutes switching between tasks. An hour saying yes when you really wanted to say no. It doesn't feel dangerous. It feels normal. And that's exactly why it's powerful. Time rarely destroys your future loudly. It erodes it quietly. But something shifts when you understand how time really works. You stop feeling helpless and you start feeling powerful. Here's the truth most people miss: you cannot manage time. Time moves whether you like it or not. What you actually manage is yourself, your attention, your energy, your decisions. And once you learn to manage those three things, your experience of time transforms completely. Look at how most people start their mornings. The alarm rings. Before they even sit up, they reach for their phone. Messages, notifications, emails, social media. Within seconds, their mind belongs to the world. They haven't even stood up, and they're already reacting. Already behind. Already rushed. And then they wonder why the entire day feels out of control. When you begin your day reactively, you spend the rest of it catching up. Now imagine something different. You wake up and don't touch your phone. You sit quietly for a moment. You breathe. You ask yourself one simple question: what actually matters today? Not what feels urgent. Not what is loud. Not what someone else wants from you. What truly matters? That single question creates clarity. And clarity creates control. The first hour of your day sets the emotional tone for everything that follows. If you start scattered, your day becomes scattered. If you start intentional, your day becomes intentional. You don't need a complicated routine. You need a deliberate beginning. Another truth that might sting a little: you are not as busy as you think. You are distracted. There is a big difference. Busy means your time is filled with meaningful work. Distracted means your attention is constantly broken. And attention is your most valuable currency. Every time you switch between tasks, your brain loses momentum. It takes energy to refocus. That constant switching makes you feel exhausted even if you didn't accomplish much. Deep work creates results. Shallow work creates stress. If you want to control your time, you must protect your focus like it's gold, because it is. Try this simple practice. Choose one task each day that truly matters. Just one. Not 10. Not 5. And give it your full attention for 45 uninterrupted minutes. No phone. No notifications. No checking messages. Just you and the task. You will be shocked at how much progress you make. Most people overestimate what they can do in one day and underestimate what they can accomplish in one focused year. Control isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters consistently. Now let's talk about something that quietly steals more time than almost anything else: saying yes. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you are saying no to something important. Every extra meeting, every favor, every invitation, every quick request takes a piece of your day. And your time is limited. Your energy is limited. Your life is limited. But opportunities to give your time away? Those are unlimited. Learning to say no respectfully is one of the most powerful time skills you will ever develop. Not rude. Not dramatic. Just clear. I can't commit to that right now. I need to focus on my priorities. Protecting your time isn't selfish. It's responsible. Many people think they need better tools, better planners, better apps, better systems. Tools can help, but tools don't create discipline. You can own the most organized calendar in the world and still ignore it. Real change happens when your identity shifts. If you see yourself as someone who is always late, you will keep being late. If you believe you are bad at time management, your actions will prove that belief true. But when you start telling yourself, I am someone who respects my time, your behavior begins to align with that identity. Identity drives action. Before you change your schedule, change your self-image. Planning also needs to be simple. Long to-do lists create pressure. 20 tasks written down don't create motivation, they create anxiety. Instead, choose 3 major tasks for the day. Just 3. If you complete those 3, the day is a success. Anything extra is a bonus. This creates clarity. Clarity reduces stress. Reduced stress increases focus. Focus increases results. Time control isn't about squeezing more into your day. It's about removing what doesn't belong. Procrastination is another hidden enemy. And it's not laziness. It's emotion. You delay tasks that feel overwhelming, boring, scary, or uncertain. Your brain wants comfort. So it chooses easy stimulation, scrolling, snacking, watching videos, organizing things that don't need organizing. The solution isn't waiting to feel motivated. The solution is starting small. Tell yourself, just 5 minutes. Most resistance disappears once you begin. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Another key truth, your energy matters more than your clock. You might have 8 free hours, but if your energy is low, those hours won't produce much. Learn when you feel most alert. Are you sharper in the morning? More creative at night? Do you focus better after movement? Schedule your most important tasks during your peak energy periods. Use low energy times for simpler tasks. Aligning your schedule with your natural rhythm makes control feel easier instead of forced. And finally, understand this. Controlling your time does not mean working constantly. Burnout is not productivity. Exhaustion is not success. Rest is strategic. When you recharge intentionally, you think better. You decide better. You perform better. Take breaks. Step outside. Move your body. Hydrate. Your brain is not a machine. Treat it like an athlete. Train. Perform. Recover. Repeat. Imagine 1 year from today. You wake up calm. Focused. Your days feel intentional. Your priorities are moving forward. Your distractions are smaller. What changed? Not the amount of time you had. The way you used it. You didn't become superhuman. You became intentional. And that shift can begin today. Time control is not about perfection. You will have chaotic days. You will get distracted. You will slip. The difference is this: you return. You reset. You choose direction again. Control is not never losing focus. It is choosing focus again and again. Time is strange. Some days feel endless. Other days disappear in a blink. 1 hour at work can feel like 3. But 1 hour scrolling on your phone feels like 10 minutes. Because time is not just measured by clocks. It is measured by attention and emotion. When you are bored, time feels slow. When you are distracted, time feels fast. When you are fully present, time feels meaningful. This is the first psychological shift you must understand. You don't experience time equally. You experience it based on how engaged you are. That means if your days feel like they're disappearing, it's not because time is speeding up. It's because your attention is fragmented. Fragmented attention creates fragmented memories. And fragmented memories make life feel shorter. Think about it. The weeks when you were deeply focused on a project, learning something new, or building something important, those weeks feel full. But the weeks you spent mindlessly reacting, scrolling, drifting, they blur together. Controlling your time is also about controlling how you experience your life. Now let's talk about one of the biggest modern enemies of time control: digital addiction. Your phone is not evil. Technology is not the enemy. But unintentional use is. Every notification is a request. Every vibration is a demand. Every red dot is psychological bait. And your brain loves novelty. It loves quick rewards. It loves dopamine. Social media platforms are designed to hold your attention. Not for 5 minutes. For as long as possible. And here's the dangerous part. It feels harmless. You tell yourself, just a quick check. 20 minutes later, you don't even remember what you opened the app for. The solution is not deleting everything and moving to a mountain. The solution is boundaries. You don't need to check your phone every time it lights up. Turn off non-essential notifications. Create specific times for checking messages. Keep your phone physically away during deep work. Distance creates discipline. When your phone is in another room, your focus doubles. Try this experiment. For 1 week, no phone during the first hour of your morning and the last hour before bed. Watch how your clarity improves. Watch how your anxiety decreases. Watch how much more control you feel. You cannot control your time if you cannot control your impulses. Now let's talk about designing your ideal week. Most people live their weeks accidentally. Meetings get scheduled. Tasks pile up. Weekends get consumed by recovery instead of intention. There is no structure, only reaction. Instead, design your week before it begins. Not in detail. In direction. Ask yourself 3 questions. What must move forward this week? What deserves my best energy? What can wait? Then block time for your priorities first. Not leftovers. First, if something matters, it deserves space on your calendar. If it doesn't have space, it won't happen. This is how you stop living in reaction mode and start living in creation mode. Now let's go even deeper. You don't just manage days. You manage seasons. Life has seasons of building, seasons of learning, seasons of rest, seasons of recovery, seasons of pushing hard. The problem happens when you expect yourself to operate at maximum intensity forever. That's impossible. There will be months when you grow aggressively. There will be months when you stabilize. There will be months when you heal. Controlling your time long-term means respecting seasons instead of fighting them. If you are in a building season, reduce distractions aggressively. If you are in a recovery season, allow space for reflection without guilt. Time mastery is not rigid. It's strategic. Let's talk about discipline. People think discipline means forcing yourself constantly. It doesn't. Real discipline is reducing decisions. When you decide in advance what your mornings look like, you don't waste energy debating. When you schedule workouts ahead of time, you don't negotiate. When you set deep work hours, you don't question them daily. Structure creates freedom. The more automatic your important habits become, the less mental energy they require. And the less mental energy they require, the more consistent you become. Consistency beats intensity every time. Now here's something most people ignore. Your environment controls your behavior more than your motivation does. If your desk is cluttered, your mind feels cluttered. If your browser has 20 open tabs, your brain feels scattered. If your workspace is noisy, your focus weakens. Change your environment, and you change your behavior. Create a clean workspace. Use website blockers during deep work. Keep only what you need visible. Even small changes create powerful shifts. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Let's talk about long-term vision. If you don't know where you're going, you will say yes to everything. Clarity about your future makes daily decisions easier. Imagine your life 5 years from now. What skills have you built? What kind of person have you become? What does a normal day look like? When you have that image in your mind, time decisions become clearer. Does this task move me closer to that person? Or does it keep me where I am? Every decision either compounds or delays. Time compounds like money. Small daily improvements build massive long-term results. 30 minutes a day learning a skill becomes 182 hours a year. One focused hour daily becomes 365 hours. That's the equivalent of weeks of full-time effort, built quietly, day by day. This is how ordinary people create extraordinary outcomes. Not through sudden bursts. Through controlled, repeated effort. Now let's address something uncomfortable. You will never feel fully caught up. There will always be more to do. More emails. more tasks, more responsibilities. Peace does not come from finishing everything. Peace comes from knowing you focused on what mattered. You end the day not asking, "Did I do everything?" You ask, "Did I do what was important?" That shift changes everything. Time control is emotional control. It's choosing calm over chaos, priority over pressure, direction over noise. And here's the deeper truth. Time is not just hours. Time is life. When you say, "I don't have time," what you're really saying is, "This is not a priority." And that's okay, if you're honest about it. But when your actions don't match your values, that's when regret appears. Control your time, and you reduce regret. Because you know you showed up intentionally. Imagine reaching the end of this year knowing you didn't drift through it. You didn't live randomly. You chose your focus. You chose your growth. You chose your direction. That is power. Not control over the clock. Control over yourself. And when you control yourself, time stops feeling like an enemy. It becomes an ally. You stop chasing it. You walk with it. There is something even more dangerous than distraction. It's not your phone. It's not your workload. It's not other people. It's mental clutter. Mental clutter is the invisible noise in your head. It's the unfinished conversations you replay. The mistakes you keep revisiting. The future problems you haven't faced yet but are already worrying about. The what-ifs. The should-haves. The silent comparisons. You can sit in a quiet room with no notifications and still feel overwhelmed. But because your mind is crowded. And a crowded mind cannot control time. When your thoughts are scattered, your focus is weak. When your focus is weak, your time leaks away. So the question becomes, how do you clear mental clutter? You don't suppress it. You don't ignore it. You empty it. One of the simplest and most powerful tools for time control is a mental download. At the end of the day, or the beginning, take 10 minutes and write everything in your head onto paper. Ideas, reminders, random thoughts, everything. Your brain is for thinking, not for storing. When you write things down, your mind relaxes. It no longer has to keep reminding you. It no longer has to hold unfinished loops open. Clarity creates calm. Calm creates control. Now let's talk about deep focus, real focus, the kind that changes your results. Most people have forgotten what deep focus feels like. They work in fragments. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Constant checking, constant switching. But there is a different state. A powerful one. When you are fully absorbed in one task, time feels different. You stop checking the clock. You stop thinking about distractions. You enter what psychologists call a flow state. In that state, your productivity multiplies. Your creativity sharpens. Your confidence increases. But flow does not happen accidentally. It requires protection. You need uninterrupted space, clear intention, a defined task, a start time and an end time. You cannot enter deep focus while also being available to everyone. You must choose temporary unavailability. This is difficult for many people because we fear missing out. We fear disappointing others. We fear falling behind. But here's the truth. Every time you make yourself constantly available, you delay meaningful progress. Availability feels productive. Focus is productive. If you truly want control over your time, you must become comfortable with being unreachable for short, intentional periods. Now let's confront chronic procrastination, not the occasional delay, but the pattern. Some people don't struggle with time management. They struggle with self-trust. They plan their day and don't follow it. They set goals and delay them. They promise themselves and break it. Over time, something dangerous happens. They stop believing themselves. And when you don't trust yourself, planning feels pointless. Rebuilding self-trust is simple, but not easy. Start small. Make one promise to yourself each day that is almost impossible to fail. It could be as small as 10 minutes of focused work. A short walk. Reading 5 pages. Something manageable. Then complete it. Do this daily. Every completed promise is a brick. Slowly, you rebuild confidence in your own word. And when you trust yourself, time control becomes natural. Because you know when you schedule something, it will happen. Now let's go even deeper, beyond productivity, into philosophy. What is time to you? Is it something you fight? Something you chase? Something you fear losing? Something you feel guilty about? Or is it something sacred? Your philosophy of time shapes your behavior. If you believe time is scarce and slipping away, you might rush through life anxiously. If you believe time is abundant and endless, you might waste it casually. But the healthiest perspective is this: time is limited but meaningful. It is not meant to be feared. It is meant to be invested. Every day is a small lifetime. You wake up. You act. You decide. You end. And then you repeat. When you treat each day as valuable but not pressured, something changes. You stop drifting. You stop delaying what matters. You stop postponing conversations, growth, and courage. You start asking better questions. If today were complete in itself, did I use it well? Not perfectly, but intentionally. Now imagine living this way for a year. Imagine stacking intentional days. Imagine removing unnecessary distractions. Imagine protecting your mornings. Imagine honoring your energy. Imagine saying no with confidence. Imagine keeping promises to yourself. Your life would not look the same. Not because you worked nonstop, but because you worked aligned. Aligned with your goals. Aligned with your values. Aligned with your future. That alignment is time mastery. It's not squeezing every second. It's directing your seconds. And here is the most important truth of all. Time control is self-control. You cannot master your hours if you are controlled by impulses. You cannot shape your days if your emotions dictate your actions. You cannot build a future if you constantly escape discomfort. But when you build emotional strength, when you learn to sit with boredom, discomfort, uncertainty, your time transforms. You stop reaching for distractions. You stop avoiding hard tasks. You stop reacting to every stimulus. You become steady. And steady people build powerful lives. There will still be chaos, unexpected events, busy seasons, mistakes, delays. But you will no longer feel helpless. Because you know how to reset. You pause. You reflect. You choose again. That is real control. Not rigid perfection. Calm redirection. And when you practice this long enough, something beautiful happens. Time stops feeling like it's running away from you. It starts walking beside you. You feel grounded, present, capable. You are no longer trying to find time. You are creating it. Because you understand now, time was never the enemy. Unawareness was. Distraction was. Indecision was. But awareness? That changes everything. And this is only the beginning. At some point, you realize something important. Time is not just about today. It's not just about this week. It's not even just about this year. Time is about direction. And direction is built slowly, almost invisibly, through repeated days that look ordinary on the surface but powerful underneath. Most people think dramatic change creates a different life. A big decision. A huge breakthrough. A sudden opportunity. But real transformation rarely looks dramatic. It looks boring. It looks repetitive. It looks like someone choosing the same priority again and again while everyone else gets distracted. If you truly want to control your time long-term, you must shift from motivation to systems. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls. Some mornings you feel unstoppable. Other mornings you feel heavy and slow. If your productivity depends on how you feel, your results will always be unstable. Systems remove emotion from the equation. Systems decide for you. A system is simply a repeated structure that makes the right action easier than the wrong one. It is deciding in advance what your mornings look like. It is deciding when you work deeply. It is deciding when you rest. It is deciding how you plan. When these decisions are pre-made, you stop negotiating with yourself every day. And negotiation is exhausting. Think about how much time you waste debating small things. Should I start now or later? Should I check my phone first? Should I do this task or that one? These tiny decisions drain mental energy. And once that energy is low, discipline weakens. But when your day has a rhythm, when your habits are predictable, when your priorities are already scheduled, your mind becomes lighter. You don't waste energy deciding. You use energy doing. This is why powerful people protect their routines. Not because they love repetition, but because repetition protects their focus. The world is chaotic enough. If your internal structure is also chaotic, you will always feel overwhelmed. But when your internal rhythm is steady, outside chaos loses its power over you. Now let's talk about long-term goals. Many people set goals that excite them for a few days and then slowly fade away. Because the goal is distant, but the distractions are immediate. The reward of scrolling is instant. The reward of building a skill is delayed. And your brain prefers immediate rewards. So you must make long-term goals feel closer. Break them into daily actions so small that skipping them feels unnecessary. If your goal is to write a book, your daily action might be 500 words. If your goal is to get fit, your daily action might be 30 minutes of movement. If your goal is to learn a new skill, your daily action might be one focused lesson. The secret is not intensity. It is repetition. When small actions become automatic, progress compounds quietly. And compound progress is unstoppable. 1 hour a day may not feel powerful in a single week. But in a year, it becomes hundreds of hours. In 5 years, it becomes mastery. This is how you bend time in your favor. You stop chasing fast results and start building slow momentum. Slow momentum feels unimpressive at first. But over time, it creates a gap between you and those who keep restarting. Let's also address something deeper, fear of wasting time. Many people feel anxious because they believe they are behind. They compare themselves to others. They scroll and see success stories. They calculate their age. They think about lost years. And that anxiety makes them freeze. But here's the truth. Feeling behind does not steal your future. Staying distracted does. Regret is not built from slow progress. It is built from inaction. You cannot control the years that passed. You can control this hour. And this hour, used well, repairs more than you think. Instead of asking, "Am I too late?" ask, "What can I build today?" Instead of measuring your life against someone else's timeline, measure it against your effort. Effort compounds. Comparison drains. Another powerful shift happens when you stop seeing rest as wasted time. Rest is not the opposite of productivity. It is part of it. Deep work requires deep recovery. If you never disconnect, your focus weakens. If you never pause, your clarity fades. But rest must be intentional. There is a difference between deliberate rest and unconscious escape. Deliberate rest refreshes you. Unconscious escape leaves you drained. One restores energy. The other numbs discomfort. When you choose rest consciously, without guilt, you return stronger. When you drift into distraction, you return foggy. Control is not about squeezing every second. It is about being aware of how you spend it. Now imagine your life as a rhythm instead of a race. You have seasons of effort and seasons of reflection. Days of deep work and evenings of calm. Moments of ambition and moments of gratitude. This rhythm keeps you balanced. It prevents burnout. It keeps you steady over decades. Because ultimately, time mastery is not about one productive week. It is about sustaining focus over years. Years. That is where real results live. Think about the person you want to become. That version of you is not created in one dramatic month. It is created through thousands of small decisions. Waking up when you said you would. Starting when you didn't feel like it. Stopping when you needed rest. Saying no when it mattered. Saying yes when it aligned. Each decision is small. But together, they create identity. And identity shapes destiny. When you become someone who respects time, you naturally attract growth. Opportunities appear because you are prepared. Confidence increases because you trust yourself. Stress decreases because your priorities are clear. You stop feeling like life is happening to you. You start feeling like you are shaping it. There will still be unexpected problems, delays, interruptions, hard days, but those no longer destroy your direction. They become temporary detours, not permanent distractions. Because you now understand something powerful. Time is not something you fight. It is something you partner with. You respect it. You direct it. You protect it. And in return, it builds your future quietly. Right now, as you listen to this, another minute is passing. Another hour will pass today. Another day will end tonight. The question is not whether time will move. It will. The only question is whether you move with intention. You do not need to become extreme. You do not need to become robotic. You simply need to become aware. Aware of what matters. Aware of what drains you. Aware of what builds you. Aware of what distracts you. Awareness is control. And control is freedom. At the deepest level, controlling your time is not about calendars, alarms, or productivity systems. It is about emotional strength. Because no matter how perfect your plan is, life will interrupt it. Unexpected problems will appear. People will disappoint you. Energy will drop. Motivation will disappear. And in those moments, the real test begins. Most people lose control of their time not during calm days, but during chaotic ones. When something goes wrong, they abandon structure completely. One stressful moment turns into a lost afternoon. One bad day turns into a wasted week. Not because they are incapable, but because they react emotionally instead of intentionally. So the final layer of time mastery is this: calm redirection. When the day falls apart, you do not panic. You pause. You breathe. You adjust. You ask one simple question: what is the next most important thing I can do right now? Not tomorrow. Not next week. Right now. This question saves hours. It pulls you out of overwhelm and back into action. It shrinks chaos into something manageable. Because overwhelm comes from looking at everything at once. Control comes from focusing on one step. Life will never be perfectly organized. There will always be uncertainty. But if you train yourself to return to the next step instead of reacting to the entire storm, you remain powerful. Another truth you must accept is this: you cannot do everything. And trying to do everything is the fastest way to feel like you are doing nothing well. There is freedom in limitation. When you accept that your time is finite, your choices become sharper. You stop chasing every opportunity. You stop trying to impress everyone. You stop spreading yourself thin. Instead, you choose depth over width. Depth in relationships. Depth in skills. Depth in work. Depth in rest. Shallow effort feels busy. Deep effort creates legacy. And legacy is built slowly, through protected hours that most people give away. There is also a spiritual dimension to time. Whether you see it in a religious way or simply a human way, time is sacred. It is the one resource you can never earn back. Money can return. Reputation can recover. Health can sometimes rebuild. But time only moves in one direction. That truth is not meant to scare you. It is meant to wake you. When you truly understand that your hours are pieces of your life, you become more careful. Not anxious. Careful. You stop saying yes automatically. You stop delaying meaningful conversations. You stop postponing growth for someday. Someday is not a day on the calendar. Today is. There is a powerful peace that comes when you end a day knowing you used it well. Not perfectly. Not impressively. But honestly. You focused when you said you would. You rested when you needed to. You moved something forward. You lived deliberately. That peace is more valuable than temporary entertainment. It is deeper than quick pleasure. It is the quiet confidence that you are not drifting. And drifting is the real danger. Drifting looks harmless. You wake up. You react. You scroll. You handle small tasks. You postpone big ones. You repeat. Weeks pass. Months pass. Years pass. And one day you look back and wonder where the time went. Time did not disappear. It was spent unconsciously. But you are no longer unconscious. You now understand that every hour is a vote. Every decision is direction. Every small action compounds. You understand that focus is power. That saying no is strength. That rest is strategy. That discipline is freedom. That awareness is control. Most importantly, you understand that mastering time is mastering yourself. When you control your impulses, you control your hours. When you control your hours, you control your direction. And when you control your direction consistently, you control your destiny. This does not mean you will never waste time again. You will. You are human. But now, when you drift, you will notice. And when you notice, you will return. And that returning is what separates a controlled life from a chaotic one. Imagine yourself years from now. Not older and regretful, but older and steady. You built skills patiently. You protected your mornings. You invested in your health. You deepened your relationships. You chose growth repeatedly. You respected your time. That version of you is not built in the future. It is built in this hour. Right now. This moment is small. But it is powerful. Because it is alive. It is available. It is yours. You cannot control yesterday. You cannot fully predict tomorrow. But you can direct today. And if you direct enough todays, you will shape a powerful tomorrow. Time is moving. The question is no longer, do I have enough time? The question is, will I use it with intention? Control your attention. Control your energy. Control your decisions. And time will stop feeling like something that slips through your fingers. It will start feeling like something you are building with. Your life is not measured in years. It is measured in how you spend your hours. So spend them wisely. Spend them consciously. Spend them aligned. Because in the end, controlling your time is not about becoming more productive. It is about becoming more alive. And that is the greatest mastery of all.